All right, so here's video two. I decided to do this like video one, video two series. Last one we kind of talked about kind of getting caught up to what the purpose of kind of looking at the Googlepedia article, how we use Wikipedia and Google, how we've kind of used it, and kind of we were like already kind of putting it into practice, like with our rhetorical analysis and the logical fallacies, ethos, pathos, logos, and with the article last week, and how we're using that now to think about to begin starting to write our introductions. And now we're kind of thinking about also our body paragraphs this week. So we know that we're researching to provide support for especially like the distinctive requirements for your chosen field right here. So you have your interest in the field in the career, which we kind of talked about. We did like a discussion board post over that. Now you have the distinctive requirements for your chosen field or career. So you go find good evidence that passes the crap test that lets you know the distinctive requirements, as well as begin to examine controversies and communication in that field or career. So if you find, like many of you have already found very specific items, right, or a controversy, or you did a really wonderful job at pointing out, we found two ways of communicating, right? Or two written documents or documentation that's used in your field, right? So now we're going to find those, and we're going to find credible sources that support then when we talk about those in our paper. So here's where we're at. We've had discussions about these things, right? Interest in your field career, two forms of communication that are engaged in within your field or career, and preliminary subject of controversy. So now locate credible sources, as I've just said, using the CRAP test to help us provide reliable support for the introduction and body paragraphs as listed in the assignment sheet. So we can look at the assignment sheet and say, okay, here's what we need to cover in our introduction. Here's how we're going to think about writing it, which we'll talk a little bit more in detail later. But I need support for those things, right? If I'm going to say that it requires this, that, and the other, or these kind of skills, where do we get that information from? What was the reliable source? So we'll start writing our introduction and locating sources that support these items for project 2, locating sources and writing body paragraphs in support of the items stated on the project 2 writing in your field assignment. And then we'll talk about also brushing up on our MLA formatting this week too, and I'll be back to talk to you a little bit more about that. But so we're writing in our field. In your introduction, we provide these things. So we're talking about controversies and communicative practices, right? What are those things we identified already in the discussion post? Then we'll move into our body paragraphs, and then we'll address these three things. Preparation: what are the types of careers? What are the educational requirements? What are the working conditions will be the next thing within the job. And then we kind of like get to talk about positive aspects, negative aspects. What's the outlook for the field? And then maintenance kind of refers to these professional organizations that members might be part of. Are there other, like maybe there's a society. Engineers a lot of times will have societies. In my field, we have organizations that we join, right? That to keep us abreast of the main communication issues, especially in our field. All right, a lot about communications, about writing, and then there's also controversies within that. Usually with it dealing with pedagogy. What's the best way to teach? Best way to teach writing. What's the best way to provide feedback? What's the best way to do this? What's the best way to do that? Those kinds of things. Well, where do those kind of conversations take place? Discuss current controversies within the field. How are they perceived? How are they resolved? We're examining communication practices. So all these bullet points right here, we're beginning to address. And so I encourage us to kind of think about when we're pre-writing, just take your first paragraph, make it your introduction, and just acknowledge these things here, right? And make sure we have the support for it. Then move to your body paragraphs, and then start talking about preparation. What are the things that are required? Do I have the reliable sources to address the things in the body paragraph for preparation? Do I have the necessary reliable sources to support what the working conditions are, or at least what I'm going to say that they are? So that's kind of where we're turning to this week, what we want to kind of begin to work on, writing those sections. The paper, again, like I said, is not due till next week. So that's it for now. I'll be back. We'll pick this up a little bit more, and we'll talk a little bit more about the CRAP test in the third video. All right, guys, see you in just a minute.